Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, I am what you need. You're watching my channel. If you guys like this, let's talk some boxing. We're about to have a little debate, as you can see in the topic. Rolly Romero versus Jackson Martinez. Was this fight a robbery? I'm going to give you my opinion. You guys can come on here as guests. You could also join me in the chat section. If you guys want to make any donations also to my channel, be more than appreciative of it. All you guys got to do is make your pledge or whatever and just let me know. All right. Um, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's chop it up a bit because I watched that fight, and for me, the judges' scorecards were just whack. Okay. One judge had it 115, 112, or 115, 113, sorry, for Rolly Romero. That's okay. I could live with that. But the other two judges' scorecards just ridiculous. Okay. One had a 116, 112 for Rolly Romero, and the other had a 118, 110. That's 10 rounds to two. They couldn't even give the other guy, which was Jackson, they couldn't even give him more than 2 rounds. This fight was a close fight. It was a close fight right down to the wire, you know? So I don't understand how they could even come up with those kinds of scorecards just to start with. So I just want to put it out there. I thought it was a travesty of justice. I thought that Jackson Marinez, I thought he won the fight. I thought he won it 7-5. Um, but we're going to chop it up a little bit more because this is what makes boxing bad. And yes, Rolly Romero is a Mayweather promotion fighter, but first of all, I don't think that he won the fight. And I gave him 2 rounds, which were swing rounds. Um, and the fight was hotly contested. Every single round was contested hot. But it was just certain things that Jackson Marinez was doing in there that helped him to control the fight. We know he was the stronger fighter of the two. We know that he also controlled the fight to a good extent. There was a time when Rolly Romero got the fight to be what he wanted it to be, somewhere in the middle rounds. And of course, Rolly Romero took the first round, but Jackson Marinez could take his punch, one. And then two, Jackson Marinez was actually the stronger guy and was using certain techniques that helped him to get the edge in the fight, which is why I thought he won 7-5. I thought Rolly Romero won the last round, which was the 12th round. But I thought that Jackson swept I think Jackson swept like 7 rounds straight. I think Romero won one and somewhere in there. But Rolly Romero, I thought he won round one. I thought Jackson won round two. I had Romero won round 3 and 4. I believe it was 3 and 4. I think at the end of 6 rounds, I think I had it 4-2 for Rolly Romero. So that means Rolly Romero won uh, in the first 6 rounds. He won 4. All right. And then Jackson proceeded to win 7, 7, 8, 9, and it wasn't close. It was like it was some rounds that was definitive. Like round 9 was definitive a Jackson round. I think round 11 was definitively a Jackson round. But those rounds right in there, I gave those rounds to Jackson. Now it was a close fight, like I said before, because Rolly was doing his thing too. And Rolly was the harder puncher of the two, clearly. Jackson was the stronger of the two. But clearly Jackson could take his punch. And the other thing about it was that Jackson was kind of controlling the action during those rounds. This is why I kind of gave it to Jackson. Now, both guys had really good defense. It wasn't easy to hit Rolly Romero. He was blocking a lot of those shots that Jackson was hooking and stuff. The one thing that Jackson was getting through more successfully than anything else was his jab, and then he started to get his overhand right inside of there. Rolly Romero sometimes walk into a stiff jab by Jackson, right? Romero was kind of right hand happy at first. He thought he could just blitz him out of there, and he was just rushing in at times. Jackson was the guy with the longer height, the longer reach. But Rolly did a good job. Don't get me wrong, he did a good job. He got some body shots in there, mix it up. He got caught him with some really crisp, clean right hands. Boom! On the nugget, and Jackson just clinched him up, and that's about it. He's back to business. Now, one of the things I think that swayed a lot of people. So, like I said before, it was a hotly contested fight. All right, this was not one guy just blew away the other guy, like the judges' scorecards were saying. It was a hotly contested fight in which both guys were doing some good things. A lot of the shots that Jackson was throwing on Rolly Romero, he was blocking. A lot of the shots that Rolly Romero was throwing on Jackson, he was slipping and ducking and dipping from and pivoting out the way of. Okay, so these guys had good defense, both of them. Um, but there were just certain moments, and to play in the highlights sometimes, where Rolly Romero would just land some crisp, clean, really powerful shots on Jackson. And the other times when Jackson would land some really beautiful, solidly, his lead right hand started becoming a factor in the fight down the stretch. Rolly Romero actually did do some adaptation to Jackson, and then he reverted back to just swinging the right hand. Yeah, one of the things I liked was how he would pivot one way and then come back the other way and light up Jackson because he was the shorter guy. He had to make ground. I like his approach, how he sneak in with his lead foot while his body was leaned back. Real classical old school boxing right there. So Rolly Romero, he did a good job. Don't get me wrong. I think he came up a little bit short, but they gave him the title. Jackson fought very well. I think what might have swayed, like I said before, a lot of people who felt that Jackson was winning a lot more rounds than he wasn't winning was where at the end of the round or at the end of something, he thinks like he won a battle, But Jackson, he raised his hand in triumph because Rolly Romero didn't knock him out. He realized he could take his punch. And other times, he make it to the end of the round and pump his fist, keeping himself positive because he knows, okay, I weather this guy. This guy ain't nothing. I can handle it, right? So that's basically what I felt. And even though he thought he won the fight at the end of the fight and was rejoicing, which kind of reminded me of Aristotle Lara. Aristotle Lara would do something like that. He would do theatrics to make you feel like he's winning the fight. It was a hotly contested fight. Now, indeed, don't get me wrong, Marinez did win the fight, in my opinion. He definitely did win the fight. But if you gotta give it to Raleigh, if you gotta give that fight to Raleigh, you gotta give it by the slimmest of margin, 7-5. There was some swing rounds in there. So I'm not gonna say okay. But from what I see and from how I understand scoring fights, I thought Jackson won the fight. I thought Jackson Marinez definitely won the fight. So I want to hear you guys' views, your point of views on this. Swing by, man. Swing by. Let's chop it up this morning on the fight last night, and then we're going to talk about another fight. We're going to talk about Cecilia Braekhus versus Jessica McCaskill. Shockingly, Jessica McCaskill somehow beat Cecilia Braekhus. From the highlights I saw, McCaskill at first was really getting the better of Braekhus because Braekhus was fighting McCaskill's fight, right? And then when Braekhus started finding the distance with a jab and started using the footwork on McCaskill, I thought that Braekhus was winning the fight. So I'm not too sure because I only saw the highlights, but from the highlights I saw, I realized I was also another close fight. And so I would like to see what happened in that fight to see if Braekhus actually won or lost that fight, because it's very important for me. Me personally, this is what I gotta say. I think that Rolly Romero, if he, when he hears all of this stuff, he should rematch Jackson Marinez. That's what he should do. Now, if he doesn't rematch Jackson Marinez, then you're not being fair to Jackson Marinez. He should give him a second shot at the interim title. That's what I think he should do. Or give him first shot at, if he manages to get there, the full-fledged title if he wins it. That's just be the first guy that gets a shot at the title. Because I feel like Jackson Marinez fought a hell of a fight, and I thought that he got the better of Rolly Romero. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Cecilia Braekhus. So there was this big upset with Cecilia Braekhus where Jessica McCaskill now is the undisputed welterweight champion of the world in women's boxing. That's crazy. Do I feel like she deserved it? I'll have to watch the entire fight to let you guys know. But how I scored the fight with Rolly Romero versus, like I told you, was initially the first 4 of the 6 rounds in the first half of the fight. Rolly Romero won those. But I thought that in the second half of the fight, I thought that 6 of those rounds in the second half of the fight, I thought that 5 of those rounds, Jason uh, that Jackson Marinez won, right? In the second half of the fight. Because he had won 2 in the first half. So he won 5 in the second. So I thought he won it 7-5. Um, that's how I had it. Because they were pretty close rounds. And you could give one round to him or one round to Romero. So I tried to give Romero one, I tried to give Jackson one, and trade it off like that. So it's a good fight. Don't get me wrong. But the scorecards by the judges is just atrocious. There's no way Rolly Romero won 10 of 12 rounds. There's no way that Rolly Romero round won 8 of 12 rounds. I can't see that. I can't see it. I really can't. That was a competitive fight. So that's just my personal opinion. If there's nobody else rolling in, I'm what you need. You've been watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. And if you want to, you can donate via Western Union. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.